I'm Mark White, and today we're going to talk about branding. A question that comes up all the time is how important is branding, or why should I brand, or what is even branding? And branding really is very simple. It's basically the perception of what people think about your product, your service, or your company when you're not in the room. And a lot of times people think branding is as simple as just making a logo and stamping that logo everywhere, but it's a lot more goes into branding than just doing that. You actually have to build your brand. And in order to build your brand, it's very important to define what is it that your brand stands for. Best way to do that is talk about the emotions that come up with your brand. Also, everything you do, whether it's copy or video or print ad, everything you do has to ensure that you're taking into account what that brand message is. So why even go through branding? Branding actually has a lot of advantages. The first advantage to branding is it allows you to attract your ideal customer. Think of something like, say, Hertz Rent-A-Car. They want the business traveler, so they do a lot of things with their brand to attract the business customer. Spirit Airlines might want the people that like to travel last minute on the weekends who are looking for a deal, so they do a lot of their branding to get that person through the door. The next thing branding does is it increases marketing efficiency. So think if you're on the internet and you're trying to purchase something, or you're trying to buy something and you recognize the name of the brand. Are you more likely to buy from a company that you recognize, such as Amazon, or are you going to buy from a company that you've never heard of before? Branding makes all the other marketing that you're doing that much more efficient. The third thing branding does is it builds loyalty. When people are familiar with your brand, they're more likely to buy from a brand they trust and they respect, as opposed to investing in a brand that they've never heard of. Best example of this is, think of the hotel business. If you're traveling and you have the choice to stay at a Ramada or at Bob's Motel, would you pay a little bit extra for the peace of mind that goes into a Ramada? So brand loyalty keeps that person coming back to your brand when all other things are equal. The next thing it does is it makes it easier to introduce new products and services. Apple is a master of it. It doesn't matter if Apple comes up with a new computer, a new iPhone, a new tablet, or even new AirPods. People are excited about buying that product or service, and it makes it easier for them to introduce it because it's part of their brand portfolio. And then the last thing it does, and this is to me the most important thing, is it allows you to differentiate on something other than cost. There's so many different examples of this. If you think of the car industry, BMW, Mercedes, a lot of the different Ford brands, they don't compete on price. They compete on features, and they're targeting the person that they want to target through their branding. Very few companies make price part of their brand identities, and the ones that do are typically very large companies that have huge barriers of entry, such as, think of like Walmart. Walmart's the first one you think of when you think of a company that's really good at separating themselves and making price part of their brand. And my biggest tip is really sit down with like a sheet of paper and write up the emotions that you want with your brand and some of that messaging. Thank you very much. You can always reach out to me if you have any more questions.